While Venice may be one of the most popular cruise ship destinations in the world, on April 1st, the city banned them from its waters. Well, sort of. You see, the ban was actually a political tool, and it may make Venice even worse off than it was before. So, on today's episode of the Rooster Report, we're going to be giving you the inside scoop on Venice's ban on cruise ships. But before we do, if you think this type of content is interesting, don't forget to drop a like and subscribe. To be clear, most cities love cruise ships. After all, municipalities stand to make a lot of money when these floating hotels come to port, as they not only have to pay hefty port fees to dock in the city, but also bring tons of passengers with tons of tourist dollars. However, in Venice, the situation is a little more complicated. You see, Venice stands apart because it was not actually built on solid land, and it was instead built on top of what is essentially a giant marsh. While this was well and fine when wooden ships would dock in its harbor, this design does not hold up well against cruise ships. More specifically, because large cruise ships displace a lot of water, they constantly send waves crashing against the city, and over time, this has led to more frequent flooding. This is problematic because while the city was designed to withstand minor flooding each year, the rate of these floods has increased dramatically, and it has gotten so bad that the first floors of many Venetian homes are now so water damaged that they are unfit for human habitation. As such, in a very real sense, cruise ships are physically destroying the city they're ferrying visitors to. Beyond the physical harm, the cruise ship industry has also put a massive strain on the local economy. Pre-pandemic, the cruise ship industry accounted for about 4% of the city of Venice's revenue, as it brings in about 1.6 million passengers to Venice per year. However, most of these passengers spend very little at local businesses due to their limited amount of time in the city, and thus most of their money does not go to locals, but instead to cruise ship excursions and major attractions owned by the city. Thus, along with the 35 million or so other tourists that visit Venice each year, they make it nearly impossible for the city's 50,000 person population to survive. While this may seem a bit counterintuitive, the amount of foreigners that frequent the city have essentially made Venice a massive tourist trap, as while there are countless fashion outlets, touristy restaurants, and hotels, there are almost no grocery stores, pharmacies, or affordable houses. As a result, most of Venice's residents have been forced to flee the city, turning what was once Italy's most prosperous port into a ghost town. Therefore, it's not hard to see why Venetians have been protesting against cruise ships for decades, and on April 1st, they finally got their wish when the city banned them from entering the Giudecca Canal. This is Venice's main waterway, and the new legislation states that no passenger ships that are over 40,000 tons can enter or dock in the lagoon. While this may seem like great news, the reality is far more sinister. According to Tommaso Cacciari, who is the leader of the anti-cruise ship group No Grandi Navi, the plan may actually put Venice in a worse state than it is in already. That's because the government doesn't actually plan on banning cruise ships from the city itself, and has instead decided to dock them at the port of Marghera, which is located farther away from the city center. In order to accommodate this rerouting, the Canale dei Petroli, which is the canal that leads to Marghera, will have to be widened and deepened. This would not only lead to massive environmental devastation, but would also be illegal, as it is currently against the law to excavate more of the lagoon due to fears that this could sink Venice even further into the water. To make matters worse, Cacciari also points out that docking at Marghera would contravene a law prohibiting cruise ships from passing through areas with a high risk for industrial accidents, as Marghera is a massive industrial port that is both on private property and filled with toxic chemicals thanks to a nearby oil refinery. Therefore, this so-called ban would not only not solve Venice's cruise ship problem, but open the door to developments that are a whole lot worse. However, if the results are so terrible, why did Venice decide to make this half-hearted ban? A brief analysis of the situation makes it seem like it could be for political purposes. You see, Venetians have been up in arms against the cruise ship industry for years, and so by appearing to address the problem, Venetian politicians likely hoped that they could placate the population without missing out on any tourist dollars. However, another motivating factor may be an issue of status. You see, since 1987, Venice has been a UNESCO World Heritage Site, but in 2019, the agency threatened to place the city on its list of World Heritage in Danger unless measures were taken for, quote, significant and measurable progress in the state of conservation, end quote. Since this would be a massive embarrassment and cause a lot of bad publicity, Venetian politicians likely hoped that this move would prevent them from being put onto this list. Yet, regardless of the motivations, what is clear is that this move will have little to no positive impact on solving Venice's cruise ship problem. And, in my opinion, if this issue doesn't get dealt with sooner rather than later, the city of Venice may one day go from being a living city to an underwater relic. That's all we have for you today, everyone, and thank you all for watching. Let us know in the comments down below whether you think this law will help Venice control its cruise ship problem. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and smash that notifications button so that you can watch more videos just like this one. Until next time.